steep climbs are awesome. I love them. I mean, anyone can drag themselves up like a long, draggy climb, but steep climbs are where it's at.
Yeah, like Belgian bergs and like Flanders cobbles.
No, like long, steep climbs without any cobbles.
It sounds like you're a bit fussy about your steep climbs, Emma.
Yeah, I guess it's true that I didn't really like cobble climbs because I wasn't very good at them. And that is kind of the point in that in cycling, we tend to really look forward to and love the things that we think we're good at, and maybe we kind of dread and don't enjoy what we think we're not very good at.
Yeah, to be fair, I was pretty crap at sprinting. I didn't enjoy that. And I'm also really bad at planks.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, I also hated crits and crosswinds, and let's be honest, there were a lot of things that I was pretty weak at. But anyway, the point of this video is to show you how to get better at steep climbs and thereby love them.
Oh my God.
Oh, this was a terrible idea. My arm is killing me.
Don't worry, Emma. The viewers won't suspect a thing. They'll just think it's a really steep climb.
Really?
No.
You think they'll be fooled?
No, I don't think so.
No.
So what is it about steep climbs that makes them feel so different? I mean, the difference in just a couple of % of gradient feels an awful lot more significant when you're actually pedaling.
Yeah, no, I think one crucial difference between a steep and a gradual climb is that you're not moving very fast. That means that if you stop putting force through your pedals, the bike stops moving. i.e. the dead spots in your pedal stroke, which you normally coast through on the flat with forward momentum, can actually be a bit of a problem when you're going up a really steep hill. Thus, pedaling technique, often maligned for not being very important, does actually make a difference when it comes to really steep climbs. So it's worth practicing pedaling smoothly and exerting force all the way around the pedal stroke.
We have said before, but we'll say it again. Choose the right gears.
I've literally never heard a rider complain that they had an extra gear that they didn't need on a steep climb. I mean, if you've got a spare extra gear, it's just not a problem.
But I bet you can count the number of times you've heard another rider complain that they ended up running out of gears on a steep climb and trashed their legs or their back or their arms, which is something that I suffer from. So if you are going to ride up steep climbs, make sure you have small enough gears that allow you to cope.
The point is that having really small gearing gives you options to ride at the cadence you feel comfortable at. Now, cadence is a really personal choice, depending on like leg strength and crank length and lots of other things. But the point is, if you've got the gears, you can choose what cadence to ride at.
Yeah. Now, most modern bikes these days will probably come with what's called a compact chain set, so you can have an inner chain ring, which is a size 34, which is nice and small, and perhaps even more importantly still, at the back of the bike, at the cassette, you can run much larger sprockets, and all you need is a longer rear derailleur to cope with that.
Try to reach the base of the climb in an optimal condition. I mean, if you totally smash yourself on the approach, it's going to make the climb that much harder. Obviously, it's not always possible to take it easy in a race, but try to reach the bottom of the climb, not already over your lactate threshold.
Yeah, and then the other thing to think about on the approach and at the beginning of the climb is your gear selection. So you don't want to leave it too late to shift into an easier gear, because otherwise you'll find the slower you pedal, the more torque you're putting out, and therefore the more likely you are for your gears to malfunction. But on the flip side, you don't want to shift into a too easy a gear too soon, because then you'll spin madly and potentially be at risk of losing precious momentum that you could otherwise carry onto the climb itself.
I know a lot of people really struggle to ride out of the saddle, which I can only imagine makes steep climbs a bit horrible, really. I actually preferred riding out of the saddle. I found it easier. But what I really found difficult, conversely, was having to stay seated, for example, on cobbled climbs. Now the point is, it's a really personal choice as to whether you prefer staying seated or riding out of the saddle. But it's a really good idea to specifically train the thing you're weaker at, because it gives you more options. I, for example, used to do overgeared seated efforts. And if you struggle riding out of the saddle, practice it. It's a really useful technique for when the climb is steep, because you can get a lot more torque through the pedals standing.
Now, when climbing steep climbs, there's a real risk of your back wheel losing traction, which feels kind of freaky, as well as it not helping you move forward, obviously. So to combat it, you need to try and get your weight towards the back of the bike. Now, staying seated is really going to help that. But if you do really like to climb out of the saddle, then try and adopt a position where you get your weight a little bit more over the back wheel. You also need to take into consideration the conditions of the road. So if it's wet, it's going to be more slippery, or if the road surface is loose. And if that's the case, you may well just have to sit in the saddle, whether you like it or not. And that will be another good reason why you need to practice riding in the saddle. There is no easy way up a flipping steep climb. It is going to hurt.
But fear won't help you now. So try and approach it with a positive mental attitude. You could be motivated by simply wanting to improve, or by wanting to beat your mates, or even just by wanting to get to the top faster to get it over with.
I just love hurting myself. Yeah! Woohoo! If you do come to a stop on a steep climb, you may well find it's quite difficult to get going again.
Jeez. I mean, you might even have to get off and walk, and frankly, nobody wants to do that.
No, don't give up, Emma. Just don't stop believing. Hopefully this will help you learn to ride steep climbs with a little bit more enthusiasm, maybe even bordering on affection.
Except if they have cobbles.
Emma, come on, stop whinging about cobbles. They're great.
Whatever. Anyway, if you want to see someone riding up a really, really steep climb, click here to watch Lasty riding up the Muro de Aya in the País Vasco.
Yeah, and on that video, you will really see someone truly enjoying themselves up a steep climb.
If you like this video, give us a like.